Did you hear about that article about I was reading an article in physics. They just sent a proton through time, not space or matter, but through time. So like, yeah. So they just sent it through. It was a quantum atom that they sent through. They measured the time to be like 0.03 of a second or something like that, but that didn't matter. Like, it was all about if it could travel through the time or not. And now they're studying how they can increase and like how far they can move this atom through time. It's ridiculous.
You do that like almost every time you go to sleep.
Yeah. Leave time alone, okay? Leave it alone, guys.
It's there for a reason.
That's right. So we can break it, but like let's break it like differently than actually just breaking it.
You know what was funny? I just read this today because I was getting some images and I actually got this like the little fly head that I put into one of those scenes that I made. So anyways, that image comes from Are You Serious blog about like one of his acid trips back in the day.
Any stories of those early days that kind of like still stand out in your mind as something funny, something, you know, that was just going on in the whole scene, I guess?
Well, I think toward the end of 84, 85, Lord Knows, a character, we will just stay with that name for now, became our art director. I was editing the magazine with somebody who called himself Somerset Mau Mau. And the first magazine was really largely dedicated to psychedelics, psychedelic drugs, psychedelic awareness, ideas that rotated around the notions of psychedelia, including the science and technology that we would eventually focus on and so forth. So anyway, we started doing a fair amount of what we were writing about. There was one trip that we took, I think it was LSD, and we were up on a walking path in Marin County, and as we were coming down, we all expressed the same sense that we were coming down into a parallel reality, that everything was the same but a little bit different, and we had jumped from one reality into a different parallel reality. So we went back into Mill Valley, California, where Somerset Mau Mau had a place at that time. We left off Lord Knows, and it got to be around 11 a.m. when we were hungry. We went to this burrito place in Mill Valley, and the guy in front of us was naked. So at that point, we were really pretty certain that we had to come down in an alternative universe. And the guy behind the counter kind of shrugged and said, "Oh yeah, he does that all the time." Now I'd never seen him before or since, but he said. So he called Terrence McKenna to ask him if the universe had changed, and he just howled with laughter. And then we went off to some beach and drank some beers. This horrible little beach that you can see San Quentin from. Is that the one that's in Marin? Yeah, San Quentin. Really desultory, awful thing. But we were planning this. We had made contact with somebody who was managing Robert Anton Wilson, and we were planning. He was available to speak for $500, and we thought that was great. And we were planning an event, or we were going to plan an event with Robert Anton Wilson speaking as a benefit for the magazine, so that we could get our second edition published. And we had decided that we thought it would be a good idea to do it on a houseboat that had been famous because Alan Watts had lived there and held seminars there and events and so forth. So we went to the houseboat, we drove over to the houseboat after still trailing on the LSD, but having drank 3 beers each also. So kind of sodden trails. And we tapped on the door, and this really old woman answered the door, who sort of had the presentation of an old crone, I mean, it's just, to us, tripping. She looked like an old crone, and in this really scratchy voice, she complained for about an hour while we stood there at the door. And there's some story about how she was trying to maintain the spirit of the Alan Watts houseboat, and some yuppies were trying to ruin it for her. And it turned out that she was just there. She had snuck in. She was just squatting. So I suppose there's no real conclusion to that story other than that we took some drugs and funny things happened. And perhaps we landed in an alternative universe. I'm not really sure.
And then he says he calls Terrence McKenna and he asks him, like, did we slip into another timeline? And Terrence just like laughs at him. And then hangs up the phone or something. But that idea of going to a different timeline, like I never had that on, well, maybe on Salvia, I think, but like I think that was more of like me going further in my timeline. Than like, yeah. But there was like several times in dreams where I had like this really creepy like intuition that like I remember my waking life, but I also this timeline feels real too, but different. And it's like an eerie feeling sometimes I get. And there's an actual like reoccurring place that I go to.
Oh yeah. Well,
like I've been there like 3 times over like a span of like 10 years, and it's like the same place with the same people, same timeline. It's kind of weird.
Trapped, man.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Don't get trapped there. Just say hi to your old friends.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.